Lately it's looking like everything perfect. Out the mud with it, I put the work in. You can find me where that turf is. Pin precision like a surgeon. Bad ones used to curve me. Showing up to the show when the curve split. She know that I'm worth it. I'm finna go from aerial. I got the hit stash, got a bracelet for impact. Real tricky, quick to flip a pretty penny to a thick stack. Quick stat. Think fast and I talk real. I give a f about how they feel. Me and Zach dropped a pro.
That's actually working. Zekro is finally able to pay off here. They drops down. He's
I've been the man with the blueprint. I won't stop till I own every brick. I used to lay out in the lawn just to feel the world spin on its axis. Now I got the access and the last laugh, got it off of the passion. I keep it 100 on the dash now that we got us some track.
Knights Arena Valorant Challengers North America Split 2 continues on, and it's day 3, our final match, as we wait to see the two teams we haven't seen yet play. G2, the team who came in second place at the mid-season face-off, and OR Esports, who came in last place in the regular season. Dust, it is not an over-exaggeration to say that OR Esports struggled in that first split.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it is really hard to say. They won a couple of maps here and there against, like, M80 and DSG and Mad Lions, but, you know, they got O2'd by the Guard, O2'd by TSM. They only got to combine 7 rounds against the Guard, in fact, and just in general did look like just a mess, honestly. But they've made 2 big roster changes coming into this split to try to turn things around. They've picked up a couple of players that I think are pretty darn good, so hopefully it's going to be enough to kind of get them back on the right track, but tough opponent today.
I actually looked at this team probably around week 3, and I said, I feel like if this team was in Group A, they would do a little bit better. But speaking of Group A, yeah, I know. Speaking of Group A, the team who topped that one is this G2 roster, and they ended up coming in second place, actually besting the Guard in that lower final as well. You know, Schiff, we look at this roster, and I think coming into the season, people had really high expectations. And then maybe they got tempered a little bit throughout the midseason, but then coming into midseason face-off, that was where we really saw them start to hit their form.
Yeah, I think the thing is about it is, like, you know, we were kind of captivated, I think, by the polish that the Guard had and the explosivity that M80 had with abilities for individuals to take over at any given moment in time. And when G2 wavered, it was one of those, it's like, well, they're kind of missing out on both of those things to match up against the strength caliber of a Guard or M80. Now, that said, we didn't really get a, I think, great look at them throughout the opening group stage because, again, I think, you know, everyone was looking at one group being a little bit more heavy-handed than the other. But when we got into face-off, that's when I think we really started to see G2 shine. Oxy, in particular, I thought had a great tournament. And on top of that, Whippy continues to be, I think, one of the better players, you know, overall, as we kind of look at this entire VCLNA. So I think the team has a lot going for them, and obviously kind of looking to just that one step further, you know, to be on top of the region convincingly after falling just a touch short in that grand finals, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, basically G2 is just kind of combining parts from Sentinels and Version 1 and VCT past, and you know, obviously combining that veteranship, but also bringing in this young gun Oxy, who has been probably the most impressive duelist in this next class, you know, that we've seen. You know, him, Sim, obviously Pony we saw in the previous series being another guy, but Oxy truly has been an absolute stud pretty much 100% of the time. The dude just dominates. And you mentioned, obviously, Whippy, a very strong controller player. He's been doing very well. I'd also give a shout out to Dapper. He really turned it on during the midseason face-off and was a very strong Sentinel player for this team. But yeah, I mean, Oxy, you can't say enough about this guy, honestly. Like, he's just so darn good. I mean, the numbers are right there on your screen. But also, just to add a little bit of context to it, he has just led or been in the top 3 of virtually every major category you could think of when it comes to fragging and first kills, and he's been deadly consistent.
I think you had touched upon it while we were wrapping up the last game. We came into this split with a couple of young players we didn't really know a whole lot about. We had Sim, we had Oxy, we had Pony, and then we had some others that never really hit form, but those 3 absolutely delivered in the performances that we would like to see from players fulfilling that role. Now, on the opposite side, we do have a team that's coming into today with a roster that I don't even think has been officially announced, and if it has, it was after we went live. We're looking at OR Esports. If you're just seeing this roster for the first time, you probably aren't alone. We weren't really sure who was going to be playing today until basically this morning. We've got Physic, Niliaz, Seldris, Jonas6, and Pancakes. Pancakes and Physic coming in to replace Pure, and I'm trying to remember the other player.
Lear.
Yeah, Lear, not Clear. Correct. So I don't want to like disrespect this roster in any way, because I feel like they showed at least a few flashes. Like, besting M80 on Pearl is an accomplishment, and I don't think it's one that we should really just brush aside. And I look at the team as it was and the players they just brought in. I feel like it's an upgrade. I feel like bringing Pancakes in brings a significant amount of experience to this roster.
I mean, obviously, this team was mostly made up of like former Knights and Cloud9 Academy players and a couple of players from Zero Marksman Black. So, like, definitely some smaller name teams that didn't really have VCT experience. I think, you know, Jonah 6 was like the most experienced one, having played with Ambox and New York Fury in the past. But outside of that, yeah, it's a lot of Academy presence. But I think that the pickups they have brought in are great. And you got Pancakes, who, you know, played for teams like Accru and Pioneers, who have played at a higher level, will likely take on Pierre's role as a controller if I had to take a guess.
Yeah.
Then you have Physic, who formerly played for Soar and Pioneers. I imagine he'll just take on the initiator roles that, you know, Lear used to play. So I think role for role it works out well. And I think, again, these guys are definitely upgrades that have more experience and have proven that they can perform at a good level.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was going to hit on the same points, that this team was definitely missing a lockdown controller and a solid initiator. Because honestly speaking, both Nilly and Zeldris, I thought played fine in all of their individual matches as a Sentinel and as a duelist, respectively. The problem was getting them into good space with good numbers. So I agree that these are great pickups. I've always been pretty high on Pancakes as an ability to kind of compete at this level and be a possible show stealer. Whereas Physic, on the other hand, has a lot of that experience as well, built into this kind of mid-tier level, if you want to call it, of North American Valorant, and has proved himself in the role that Dust was kind of labeling out. So again, I think these are the correct moves. I think they've put in some really solid options to improve the overall team stock. So I'm happy with the move, and let's just hope it allows them to find some more success, more than just the 3 maps they won last split.
It does feel like both of these players they brought in have been on fringe teams at the time, where they were like just outside, you know, looking at Pancakes, going back to that old Equinox roster. And then Physic, people forget, Physic was on the old Mix-Up roster. Mix-Up becomes LG. LG eventually becomes Shopify after significant roster changes, no longer anywhere near the team that it was. But the original roster was him and Stellar and a Proto, who we've obviously seen a lot of, not only here in Challengers, but also in VCT as a whole, looking at even current VCT and previous seasons. So certainly some respect should be given to these players. It's just a matter of how quickly can they realistically take these new players and slot them in, and what's going to happen with roles, and who's leading. Like, is anything going to change with the leadership? Is somebody going to be taking over as in-game leader? Like, I really question who is going to be calling for this team, because we honestly just weren't super impressed last split. So that might be a role swap that happens coming into this one.
Yeah, I can't answer your question on the IGL front. I wouldn't know that one either. I think that's going to be definitely something to think about going forward. But I do think that, like, Pancakes and Physic role for role match Lear and Pierre pretty well. I think it's pretty clear. Like, again, we already talked about Pancakes being a controller and Physic being more of that initiator, whereas we obviously will see Jonah probably be like the other flex initiator type guys, and then Nilly and Zell just will remain the same. So I don't think roles will be an issue, but the IGL, and you bring up a good point there, like, that's something that I'll be interested to see how things unfold in that regard.
Well, we can talk about more with the series here when we take a look at the maps. If there's one thing that I'm questioning, it's the map pool depth for OR Esports. Given the change, it's going to be kind of confusing. We just don't really know what maps they've had time to work on. So we're going to be going to Haven, Split, and Lotus, and that's already drawn a visceral reaction from Dust.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be playing G2 on Split, bro.
No.
I mean, that's really the biggest thing that leaps off the page. Obviously, they did have the loss to Auction in the mid-season face-off, but they did beat the Guard in the lower bracket finals on that map to make the grand finals, and they were just clearly a strong Split team throughout mid-season face-off and throughout Split 1. So, I mean, I'm kind of surprised OR didn't get that off the board, if I'm honest with you. They decided to ban Ascent instead. Yeah, again, yeah. I would have gone for the split ban personally.
Yeah.
Especially since they're 0-2. They got slaughtered by Disguise and TSM on this map.
It's a tall ask, though. It's almost the exact same situation that we were labeling out with Disguised in the previous series. It's like, you're going to get put onto a map if you're a team like OR Esports that you're not going to feel great about. It's just the way it's going to go. And if you already have a preset veto in Ascent, which based on the fact that I didn't play it all in Split 1 seems to kind of be the case, you're going to have to play G2, a very map flex team, on one of their strengths. It just also kind of sucks that they're also playing them on Haven, which happens to be their second most played map. So it's not an easy series, but ultimately this is a new roster and a very tough opponent on the other side. You know, we would be, I think, hard pressed to build much of a a pathway towards success here for our esports. This is more for me, I think, just kind of like, you know, is the team going to be a better off option with these two new players compared to where they were before? Again, it's a low bar, but you know, that's just kind of what I think we have in front of us, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, the Haven pick is interesting because let's face it, OR Esports didn't look that hot on the map through qualifiers. They even played like a smaller tournament where they weren't looking so hot on it. I think it was like a HyperX Arena or something like that. But I guess like you could say that about almost any map for them last season, or last split rather. So like kind of tough to say. So maybe with the limited amount of time that they've had together with this new roster, they've been able to put work on a map that historically G2 has been weaker on. Like they've taken a lot of big losses on this map. You know, obviously the guard being one of them, that's fair, but they lost to Turtle Troop on this map, like big. They lost to, you know, Breakthrough, you know, when they were still using that name. So, I mean, this could be like a little bit of like a ninja pick where they put like a ton of prep on Haven and think they got something up their sleeve for G2. So that could be interesting.
I'm also surprised that they don't go to Pearl. I do feel like that was maybe a map that they had pretty decent success rates on. If we're being honest, you look at their map pool, you obviously, it wasn't very good. Like you kind of touched upon that. Their map pool, you're going to see negatives in every single column. That's what happens when you go 0-5 in the group stage. But they were able to beat M80. They had close games against other teams as well. They beat Mad Lions, which, I mean, I guess you could argue who didn't. But, you know, and Mad Lions did win that series. It was the only win that Mad Lions had in the last stage. So I kind of feel like it was a surprise, but maybe that's why they didn't go to Pearl, because they know it was the only map they had success on. So at least teams can kind of look at that and be like, all right, well, we know what to expect on their strong map. So we'll just take that one out of the mix and force them to play something else. But Dust, you might be right. There's a possibility that this team has had the wheels turning a whole lot longer, because keep in mind, this team did not make mid-season face-off. And not only that, they knew they weren't making mid-season face-off. They knew coming into week 4, they were already out, if I'm not mistaken, or at least after week 4, it was statistically impossible for them to make it. So they had week 5 and then the entire mid-season face-off to start thinking, okay, what are we going to do coming into next split? And even though they obviously finished out the season with the same players, there was probably wheels turning in the background as they were trying to figure out plans moving into this split. Because even though it's very difficult, there's still a world where they could make playoffs. It's just going to mean a very seriously high finish here in the group stages. So I wanna have faith. I want to say like, oh, this is totally going to work. But man, Dust, 2 splits in a row, they start against pretty much the best team in their group. Last time it was M80. This time it's G2. That's brutal.
I mean, they're pretty much going to have to finish top 4 of this split to have a chance to make playoffs. Yeah. I mean, like mathematically, they're just so far behind. They have 1 point right now on the circuit. I mean, they're well out. I mean, think of M80 who's at 30 points. Luckily, there was no zeros available for them. You got a participation award by just being in the league with the 1 point. So congratulations, I guess, in that regard. But no, at least like they're being proactive. They're clearly trying to make changes to make themselves better. Obviously, this is a tough first test going up against a G2 team that has looked really strong, particularly in the mid-season face-off. Really, the only weak link with G2 is I just feel like Penny still hasn't found his place on this team. Like, I think the roles are still kind of weird for him sometimes. But outside of that, they have looked fantastic with everybody else, and they're starting to get some better strategy and team play going too. So, yeah, this is a tall order for our esports, no doubt about it.
This is a really interesting group, just overall when you look at Group B, because you're going to have an inevitable rematch between G2 and the Guard at some point in time. They're likely going to be in some form in the top 2 of at least the top 3 of this group, you'd figure. But Moist Moguls are also looking really good after the beatdown that they just handed their opponent in the first week. So, you know, for G2, this is all about trying to get on top of the group. You know, prove that you can get revenge against the Guard, put yourself on top of the minds of everyone going into playoffs, into you being a favorite into challengers. But the other side of this conversation is with what looks to be maybe a weaker FaZe clan, or Esports have a chance at they're going to have to beat FaZe and Mad Lions. The thing about it is, for them to get into the top 4, maybe top 5 for this split, like Dust was mentioning for those points, they're going to have to beat somebody like the Guard, G2, or Moist Moguls, which feel a little out of reach based on what OR Esports we saw last split. So a tall ask going up against G2 here in this first matchup, but I do think that if we see improvement coming from this new roster, there is maybe a chance to try to surprise somebody like the Guard or Moist Moguls.
It is important, again, and we had talked about this at the top of the show, to remember that finishing in the top 4 positions here in the groups doesn't mean anything as so much. It's placement across both groups, too. Right. So it's not even just who they beat in their own group, it's how well they beat them. But let's not forget, G2 lost to Turtle Troop. So there's a world where this team could come in and be underdogs and super overlooked, and they'll find a way to get themselves into the server. Now, I will argue again, like Dust is saying, that Turtle Troop we saw in week 1 was different than the Turtle Troop we saw in the match against G2. They had made changes. The roster looked so much better with them. And unfortunately, those changes were undone coming into this split as those players were then poached by another team, which you can't blame them for that one. Chase the bag. But I'm looking at this team and I'm thinking maybe there's a world where we come into this first map and OR Esports shocks everyone. We didn't think they were going to take a map off M80. No one saw that one coming. So there is always a possibility. You know, they say the phrase any given Sunday. There's a world where OR Esports somehow finds themselves in this game. It's just
it's
very
Thursday.
small world.
Sorry.
It's a very small. Yeah, it is Thursday. It's not Sunday. Damn. All right, point taken. Never mind. They're going to lose because Dust is right.
Yeah, because I pointed out the accurate day.
Yeah, you did. You pointed out the day of the week. Well, it does still end in a Y, so I guess there's that. But, you know, you look at this team, I'm trying to find the silver lining. I'm really trying hard, digging deep for that one. It's just tough because G2 was so good coming into the mid-season face-off. And even though there are some role inconsistencies and some weirdness, like Penny kind of being ham-fisted into responsible roles that I don't feel like really allow him to shine. It's not to say he plays them bad. It just he's not playing like the Penny we remember, playing the roles that we've seen him play in the past, looking specifically at that old.
I feel like he's always been a hit or miss player, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I don't think he's ever been, even when he got to play his roles, I don't think he was as consistent as other duelists like in VCT last year, but he does have a high ceiling is the point.
Yes.
So if he does pop off, he can add a ton of value.
Well, it does look like it's time for us to jump into the agent select here for map number 1. Again, reminder, it is Haven. OR Esports coming in as heavy underdogs. We'll see what they can do, and I'll see you on the other side.
Thanks so much, Shabak. And yeah, I mean, I think we're right to kind of throw in the possible concern towards G2 and, you know, the losses that they've faced here on Haven, but it is one of their most rehearsed maps. They've played it 7 total times throughout the first split and the mid-season face-off with this exact composition essentially for the vast majority of those last couple of instances in the face-off. Where on the other side, you know, it's become a little bit meta to see these exact comp, and OR is going to go with what you kind of have known and what we've been proved to be a very successful overall comp, and we are getting kind of the roles that we would have expected as well too.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time where G2 was playing double duelist with the Neon on Penny, but, you know, he's been playing Breach for quite some time now on this map. So, you know, G2 basically keeping the same composition that we've seen them use the last several times they've played this map, or at least the last 3 times they've played it, because they were also playing some Astra at times.
Yeah.
OR Esports, on the other hand, coming into this map, again, they have made the change because they used to play a lot of Astra. Pancakes, though, has always preferred Omen throughout his career, so it understandable he would choose that agent. He's probably the agent he's most known for, honestly. So,
yeah. Good point. All right, let's take a look. First eyes on for this new OR Esports roster. And then really the only measure for G2 is what we kind of came to know, and for some, love for what they did in the mid-season face-off, seeing if they can continue on their winning ways. I think expectations would favor G2 pretty heavily across the board in this series, but hard to prep for a team that you've never seen before. And OR will be the ones on the attack first and foremost, with a little delayed hit over as Sewers is stacked up. G2 mostly fringing on this potential B hit.
They just want to be able to rotate as quickly as possible either way. I mean, that's really what it boils down to, just playing retake on either site. And if it comes B, then they got a defense in place for it. But we're going to see a fake garage control with the smoke and the owl drone, while meanwhile the Spike and company still very much heavy inside the sewers. Definitely looking to spring onto A. You do see Shazam pivot into Heaven to watch that sewers cross, though. So it's not as if G2 aren't prepared for this, but again, it's going to come down to them likely having to play a retake.
Yep. Shaz up top in Heaven. The only real defender inside the A site. Physic getting to work with his lineups. And as soon as this recon bolt goes, expect this sewer hit to also come into play. Shaz watching that exact
30
same
seconds
position.
left.
Smoked out from being able to watch the cross. Holding on to all of his utility for now, as OR will walk right on into sight. Nanostorm also placed. Fault line out. Will connect on the donut, but really, Oxy is the only one who gets through this initial post line setup. Zeltrus responds. Back and forth we go with the kills, but G2 starts to clean things up as Shaz comes out of top Heaven. Go to the last one left, and it's one right click from Penny that finishes the job. G2 with a clean retake and the opening pistol.
Yeah, I mean, that was their plan all along. You know, they knew that if it was a C hit or an A hit, they were going to have to play some type of retake, and they had their utility prepared for that exact situation. And they did it really quickly. Smokes came down, and the paranoia very fast from Whippy. Good fault line comes down on the plant zone. Oxy's the first one to draw blood, killing the Under Heaven player, which is the most important person to dislodge early, I feel like. And then they're able to just to kind of, you know, use the smokes that they have down and their numbers to break through. So really well done there from G2.
And as G2 does a lot, they will go into some heavy rifles into the second round. Trying to get as much value as possible, trusting that these rifles will make it into the quote-unquote bonus. OR just with a couple of pistol upgrades across the board. Sheriff in particular for Zeldris tries to spam through the smoke, not going to connect. Whippy stays safe. Hit on the way. Spike's not a part of this though. Nanostorm will stall and actually dissuade OR from committing.
Yeah, the Paranoia Nano combination definitely pushes them back off. They do have a little bit of mid presence right now with Pancakes playing near the garage doors and with some presence over at window as well. It looks like they may even decide to re-hit C, but do so through garage. But that's going to be a tough ask as the turret will be seeing this, and there's 3 players defending C site. They could pivot B, but there's still utility from the Killjoy there as well, so it's going to be tough.
Defense still pretty spread, just trusting the alarm bot to defend over towards B. Dapper in a corner. Just a frenzy for him. Ghost for Whippy. The other member nearby is Penny. He's got the heavy-hitting AR, the Phantom. Just holding onto a fault line at the moment. As with 30 seconds remaining,
left.
it's going to be OR making their move. And, oh, Dapper's a little bit stuck at the moment. Does get one. Aftershock will not really be used in this position. And he needs to get more than just one. But, oh, it's Whippy who tallies up on all the damage that had already been collected. Spike will be picked up by Jonah. Immediately goes for the plant. 1v2, but it is a Bulldog and a Vandal in front of him. Against just the Sheriff, and he gets caught on the reload. No worries for Shazam again as G2 take the round.
Yeah, it's not the place you want to be while you're reloading. Kind of want to still be behind the site and cover. So that was a little bit of a miscue there. Again, his chances were low no matter what, but I think that really kind of just put it out of even being possible. As G2 do take second round. As you said, though, it was kind of costly, you know.
Placing alarm bot.
Spike plant comes in. They, you know, force some rebuys out of G2, so not too shabby as they come to their first full buy. No operators on the table for either side.
Turret out.
This is what we're talking about. Full rifles that can be brought in for G2. This gets them to that full buy economy, at least in certain regards, very quickly. So OR will only have really no major advantage, if I'm being honest, because everyone's got light armor as well. So
yeah, not G2. A bonus at all by any means.
Yeah. G2's already taking over C long. Dapper contact made. Whippy's the one that actually gets the double. So ultimately G2 come on top of the trade.
Yeah, nicely done. Puts the smoke down as well and is able to teleport back into sight and is keeping his eyes trained on this garage, which that Pancakes is looking for, but Pancakes still gets the jump on him despite Whippy peeking that very angle. Now Pancakes takes full control of C site, able to smoke off the back halls. So that means the Spike can come in and plant. They also have garage control. The only thing that could help G2 is this flank from Oxy.
And there's a couple of pings down. OR Esports very aware that this could be on the way. Walking back towards long. Oxy caught looking the wrong direction. Just terrible timing. Now Nilly playing forward. Gonna hear some footsteps of Penny. Gets behind Shazam as well. So all of a sudden OR Esports feeling really locked into this post plant. Shots from Nilly good. For the first at least, not the second. Penny. Flash out. Maybe a chance with these flashes to deal some damage here. It's the first one to peek, but it's a double slide and OR Esports get on the board.
Yeah, again. This game, a game of milliseconds at times, and that one little moment where Oxy looks left, he gets double pushed, and that ends G2's hopes at a successful retake as the flank fails, and then you see the counter flank on the Shazam there through the back hall. So good first round there for OR Esports. Now they come into this one. Both teams now have Hunter's Fury, but G2 is going to be on the save. Just some Sheriffs and a Stinger on Whippy. So a big moment for OR Esports potentially tie this thing up.
It'd be a nice start. Let's find out how exactly they want to go about it. Everyone kind of hogging over towards the A barrier as it drops. Zeldris denies the recon bolt, but Cloudburst stands in their way. And And that's going to be essentially a negotiation of sewers left to remain for G2 defensively, while the rest of OR Esports at least offering a feel over towards Garage and C.
Yeah, a trap was kind of trying to be set by G2 on sewers with the fault line there from Penny with a couple players peeking sewers angle. And they still have that trap there if it could ever come into play. But as we can tell, OR Esports have no interest on that side of the map, fully sending it over at C right now. Owl Drone leading the way, clearing out some of the close corners. Smoke comes in, flash comes out as well. Now here comes the sweep.
Oh, Dapper gets 2. Also sees the barrel of another Hunter's Fury is going to be sent out. That's from the offensive side. Fitzig not quite able to capitalize. And now Oxy with the classic almost gets 2 of his own. Nilly Shorty saves the play and his life, but there's numbers now for G2. They're on site with all 4. Fitzig should have no problem with Penny. Whippy and Dapper only have a collective 32 HP, which isn't great news either for G2's defensive hopes. But OR are going to take a full wrap back across the map. This is...
Oh, boy. And look at Nilly's position. It is, but Nilly cuts off the rotates very easily, unless he gets caught in the window or something like that from behind. As we are seeing Shazam, the timing could mean everything. He's right there. Oh, God, what?
Back to back. Literally, they end up back to back. Oh, too much.
I can't take this.
Yep.
And the combined HP is pitiful here.
One enemy remaining.
Should be an easy cleanup. And man, talk about the consequences. Nilly, and that Shorty kill, saving his own life against the Classic. How different this round could have been for G2.
Oh, man, if Shazam gets that frag, the retake's certainly possible at that point. Even with 2 low health players. You have Shazam with full health. You have a 3 on, 1. Oof. Again, man, timings mean everything in this game sometimes. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't.
All right.
Swarm grenade out.
Good response here from OR Esports in round 3 and 4.
A costly one, though.
Costly one,
I
but
will say that.
Yeah. Get the spike plant off, though. It should be okay.
I think it's just scary to see how close Shitsu came to winning off of basically classic frags and
Dapper.
a couple of and Dapper popping off at the Sheriff. Again, Dapper really came into his own during the mid-season face-off. He really struggled at the end of last year on Sentinels and started to kind of worry about him, but this year he has definitely kind of gotten back to the form we're used to. I think a lot of that has to do with the Sentinel meta shifting back to, agency likes playing.
It's helped a lot of those players out.
Non-chambers guys, yeah.
Big reveal. That's going to be enough for Hunter's Fury to get called in. Tag is good. Kill is better. Third one will not land, but Shazam has already tallied an easy first blood, and Oxy holds the angle even further with this operator. Zeldris just on the other side of bricks, but there will not be contact, not as of yet. Nilly did see Dapper. That information may have been mutual, though.
Yeah, I think it was mutual indeed. Also like that Oxy did not overextend with this operator, just kind of falls back into sight, letting his teammates kind of stay hidden. Going to be a tough ask now for our Esports. Basically just trying to smoke their way in and brute force with this Rolling Thunder.
No one's really going to get affected by it. It does clear the sight, of course. Recon bolt, Owl Drone, that sees quite a bit. Shock darts for Shazam start to make their way in. Counter Rolling Thunder could be used and seems to be queued up as Penny's got both arms up. Nilly for the plant. There's the Rolling Thunder. Well done by Zeldris to get the first. Just overdraft all the way through, trying to shake off the effects, but Oxy dashes past. Retake's now underway. Lockdown trying to enforce the post plant, but the kills just are not there for Pancakes or anybody else for OR Esports. That'll be enough to take care of everything cleanly for G2 back into the lead.
Yeah, their retakes have been on point. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, they had a perfect read of the situation. They were willing to fall back once the Rolling Thunder came in. They had their own. Zeldris almost disrupted it. I thought he was actually going to be so far forward that he didn't get hit by the Rolling Thunder. Then he really could have caused some problems, but he did wind up getting stunned and only got 1. But a decent attempt, but G2 just, again, impressive retake. Doing some good things. Everyone's on the board. Doing pretty well. They have a massive ult advantage coming into this round, as well as having a slight firepower advantage, as Physic is just on the Sheriff.
Lockdown still at 30 for Dapper. Knives if Oxy feels the pressure of having an operator out. Our Esports gotta come up quickly. Shock Dart does not really tally onto the defensive Killjoy utility, but Zeldris is not dissuaded, still steps in. And on top of the boxes with a little bit of cover
Spike planted.
from the moment smoke may allow an opportunity, but the defending lockdown is still in play here, and Penny has defended it nicely because for a moment, OR nearly got right around the corner to delete it. Spike still planted. Now it's the knives for Oxy. Doesn't
One
quite
enemy
tally,
remaining.
but oh, it's a double from the aftershock from Penny. Are you kidding?
Oh, they never cleared Penny off gone. They never knew. And this has been slipped out as well, so that's all she wrote on this one.
Man.
Yeah, it was kind of like Penny played so patient at the back of site, even when Zeldris makes the hop onto the boxes on the front left side, and he starts looking to peek the link area. Penny just stays hidden and comes out with a huge double. And then look at that. I mean, Nilly is flash. He has no idea. He's running into an aftershock. That's the end of him. What a massive round from Penny. And we talked about it. The ceiling's high for him. So if he's feeling it, then all of a sudden this team becomes even more dangerous than they already were.
8-kill start through 7 rounds.
Take flight.
OR just on Stingers. Spectre, 1 Sheriff. Still potential for some kills to come out, but ultimately big advantages for G2. Lots of incoming utility. Dapper staying away from it. Oh boy, the time to this could be deadly. Only gets 1 actually though. Nilly just on the corner delayed the push, and that's enough for the trade. So OR get onto site. Penny trying to hold, but now it's just down to Whippy as Zeldris gets a double, and all of a sudden OR Esports start to clean things up until Whippy lines them all up and tears them all down. Oh, it goes from bad to worse just that fast. Nilly for a 1v1. Deals with Whippy on the initial. Oxy tagged down to 10 HP here. Hold on a second. Little weapon swap here for Nilly. And just predicts wrong.
What a move. What a move from Oxy, though, to slide back to logs. I mean, just the most unpredictable position that he could go for. What a timing. That was way closer of a round than it should have been, honestly. Once Whippy gets this triple kill, you think it should be a done deal. And also, Whippy played that so smart. He plays main box and Shroud steps the platform and stays hidden the entire time that his teammates are fighting at back halls, and that's what allows him to get the triple on all the weakened players. And then nice 1v1 there from Oxy, even with low HP. So the lead is building for G2. They've won 3 in a row here, and they have the op in Oxy's hands.
Oh, bold. Hunter's Fury also in, so now Pancake's all of a sudden going to be able to assist it.
Spike
The
down.
out-down low from Oxy lands not once, but twice. Huge shots from Oxy. Aldrone, he wants it. Shorty out, Nilly denies. But it's one of those, let's do a little heat check play. And now G2 have an opportunity, maybe isolate Pancakes, who has to fall down to just 69 HP. Nice. Spike planted. Sentry turret to help set up the post plant 3v3.
Pancake's able to teleport into a little bit more of a safer position, but they're still down a man. It's gonna be tough here. Nice trade.
Ooh. So Pancakes takes the round after the hard commit to the from the shadows. I think maybe both you and I were surprised that he even locked that in the first place.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, Shazam had the read on the ult, even gets there for the fight, but still loses the battle, and Pancakes remains a thorn in their side for the entire round. Winds up scoring the hat trick there in the end, and that's going to be a big round for OR Esports. Puts low money on G2. They're still able to get Oxy and Operator, but Penny has to play with Stinger, Bulldog for Shazam. Lockdown available for Nilly for a site take here. Aggressive setup for G2 though at A.
Fault line lands on a ton of offensive members. So any possible contest over towards A long is now out the window. And OR Esports will take their focus towards C.
This is a huge commitment of resources, though, for G2 on the A side of the map. They've got nothing except for Killjoy utility basically guarding C and B site right now. Now, as they get a player into a 4 position, they can start making their rotations, and they still may be able to avoid getting timing here, as you do see them really just trusting Oxy now to kind of play A solo while the rest rotate over to C. All drone coming in. The C attack is imminent, and the defense is here, bro. Holy cow.
Oh, but the fault line does land. So does the paranoia. Zeldris held for a moment. Recon bolt reveals, and Dapper collects, no worries. And now G2 start to really manifest some significant control here on towards the C side. Enough where OR Esports kind of has to bail. Nilly's going to lurk just to see if he can kind of find somebody on rotation. Lockdown gets called in. Shazam is the one trying to poke at it. Dapper's got to get off site, and with that, it will just be Whippy who will be left to hold. Nilly does even a little bit more, and that's good for OR. Generally, it's going to be a 2-for-1, and now all of a sudden it's 2v2.
Yeah, Spike will go down. They'll be able to get one of the post-plant positions they really want. Dapper, of course, now able to come out of being contained. They'll come together back halls.
Full utility for Oxy. Recon bolt with the ready physics going to drop that in early. There's the peek, and Jonah lines up both headshots for 3 in the round, and OR Esports are putting up one heck of a fight. Don't let the names on the page fool you. This current modification for OR Esports is working out pretty nicely for him on what has been, again, a well-rehearsed map for G2.
Yeah, that was a really nice just combination of swinging off of a recon bolt. You know that someone's going to have to be looking up to shoot that bolt, which gives you the edge when you swing out to take the fight. So that was just a nice little play there from Fizzik and Jonah. They come into this one with a very big firepower advantage. Ult's aplenty for G2, but not a lot of punch pack behind it. Just some sheriffs and stingers.
Oxy is just going to walk into A main for the first time. Oh boy, this could get deadly. Zeldris with knives, watching just in case. I mean, look at the support. Aldrone. Oh, and Oxy just pushes through it, tries to get away, but can only tally 1 before being traded.
I mean, that's all he could do in that situation. When you're getting droned, you have to try to push and get the frag. At least he was able to get that. But again, firepower is severely lacking here for G2. Yes, they have plenty of ults. Maybe if they get like a kill or 2 and feel like they have a chance, they can pounce with them and still pull this one off and get a thrifty going. Dapper, we know how deadly he's with the sheriff, and as soon as I say it, gets the dome of pancakes.
I'm telling you, man, Dapper's got to be one of the most deadly players the sheriff again.
Spike planted.
One Thunder out, Hunter's
boy.
Fury
One
lands
player
though
standing.
for not just 1, it gets 2. Goodness, the lineups punishing OR so heavily. Now Jonah's left in the corner. Will not be hit. Another one Thunder. Chance to isolate, but Shazam gets in the mix, and for that G2, that is again one of the reasons why one of the better teams in North America. They are so good at making those half buys, light buys feel punishing.
Yeah, that was a beautiful Hunter's Fury in tandem with the fault line. The half player stunned and unable to really move and dodge the Hunter's Fury. So it gets Shazam 2 frags. Again, Dapper huge with the initial Sheriff frag as well. But I mean, look at this. Fizzik is stunned. He can't really move. Neither can Nilly. I mean, that was just a great combination of utility there from G2 to pull the thrifty off. Just when you thought that OR had something brewing, G2 swats back.
It almost feels like there's no such thing as an eco disadvantage for G2 Esports at times.
Look at the frag distribution as well, man. Their lowest fragger has 8. Their highest has 9.
That opening fault line continues to hit a lot of OR Esports. Not really affected largely on commitment, though. They're still looking to hit over towards A with some numbers. Smokes are out. Paranoia comes through. Shazam's flat. Doesn't see Zeldris on the push forward. So good opening first blood for OR. Follow-up even better from Jonah. Hunter's Fury assisting in the mix. And how about this? Clean stuff for OR Esports on the execute, looking for a plant.
Yeah, just a bit of a pacing change, right? I mean, they just kind of pounce with their utility. They don't waste any time. They don't let G2 get comfortable in any sort of position. They just send it. And now it's going to be a tough ask for Oxy just to say this up. I mean, he's going to get run down. There's 5 players alive. Where are you going to go?
Well, this seems to be the battleground he's chosen. He's going to have Zeldris on this tight angle right about now. No worries. Reposition. Back corner. Here's the footsteps. It's another, but finally it's Nilly who puts him out of commission. So OR Esports again, they're not just hanging around, they're showing us a thing or two here.
That was just a nice set piece on A, and again, it was a bit of a pacing change. They came a lot faster onto the site this time around and just tore him up. I mean, Shazam really had no chance. He was trying to hold the angle, got flashed, great smokes, great movement, great spacing. So nicely coordinated attack there from OR Esports. Keep them within one with 1 round to play in this half.
Turret out.
Bladestorm and Stinger combo for Oxy. Everybody else a little bit worse for wear on G2 except for the rifles on Shazam and Whippy.
Great opening offensive fault line, catches Oxy trying to get aggressive again. This time Pancakes from the shadows will not commit to getting in the back line of G2. Instead, we'll just play this one out with a 5v4, knowing that one of the big heavy hitters is off the table.
Yeah, that was the biggest tool that G2 had, was that Bladestorm from Oxy, and it's off the board, as you said. So now they'll have to fight with 2 rifles and 2 Stingers. Shazam trying to get aggressive in sewers here. Nearly goes down, but finds the frag anyway. And now the spike can come in onto the A side with the advantage for OR.
Could be an easy plan here. And OR Esports will have a very dynamic and multifaceted post plan. Aftershock down low, let's not get carried away here. OR Esports going to be tested through hell, but this gets the first, flashes out. Penny at least tallies 1, but ultimately a 6-6 half. And so far, just through one half of Valorant in a best of 3 series, you got to be pretty pleased with the changes that OR Esports have made.
Yeah, I will agree. That definitely looked like a pretty strong attacking half, no doubt about it.
1 enemy remaining.
But now let's see if they can keep it up on the defense, because they have struggled defensively at times. Remember, they had 6 attacking rounds against TSM in the first split. They wound up losing in the second half because they couldn't get their defense going. Same thing happened in some of the smaller tournaments that they've played in, where, again, the attack was there, but the defense wasn't. So don't want to take anything away from them. That was definitely a brilliant half. They got to keep up the pace.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things, too, when you look back at it and really reflect. I think OR Esports will say we probably should have had 8. I mean, a couple of rounds just get lined up, collided. The aftershock was unfortunate, but also the triple from Whippy.
Yep.
All sunshine rainbows right now. OR Esports, G2, making their moves on this offensive pistol towards C-site. Nilly in the corner will get 1 for free, plus the flash on another. Oh boy, Nilly's teeing off. Double comes through. G2 gets the door slammed in their face. And now they're a little stuck, if I'm being honest. They kind of have to still commit here and see long, and at least Shazam can make life a little bit easier with a shock dart kill.
Oh, Dapper gets some good damage on the Jonah there as well. They're going to fall back. They're going to grab the orb here for Dapper and start building up.
No!
It's the lucky spam on the Jonah through the smoke, and now it's back into a 3 versus 3. And they have time, and they have Spike, and the defense doesn't really quite know if they've completely fallen back or not. It's just Zell just getting aggressive at sewers. At least he'll get the info.
Man.
They're so far away, though, to rotate.
Yep. Zell just gonna try to hold, though. Another peek, another chance. This time, Penny will drop. Shazam running up.
Left.
Shoulders. Zeldris.
1
Caught
enemy
behind
remaining.
sight. Locks things in.
Spike
Off the
down
reload.
A.
Dapper now by himself. 1v2.
1 enemy remaining.
Okay. Shock dart did land. Oh, it got tight, but Zeldris, it's the final shot needed, and OR Esports take their first lead.
Just feels like no rounds have come easy for them, though. Like, they've had to grind these rounds out. They had such a strong opening to this with Nilly with the double, but G2 fights it all the way back and forces Zeldris to have to come up huge by himself here on the site, but he rises to the occasion. And so they will take a lead here. And they have the firepower advantage now as well, of course. But again, man, Dapper has a sheriff, so who knows, bro?
You never want to rule them out. G2 playing through mid. Dapper leading the way. Alarm bot will be the first obstacle. Nilly will likely be the second. Dapper just tries to poke and, as we kind of mentioned, see if he can continue to let this sheriff gameplay shine. This time, no lock-in, and, well, G2 will either have to kind of force the square peg into the round hole or consider a different option.
Well, Nilly spots them trying to take some garage control. It'll get followed up by a shock dart. The turret's still up. Shazam notes it. Falls back a little bit. Now they'll gather together to break it. Reveal the window and just try to take garage control and see if they can make something happen from here. But there's a great defense set up on C for this.
Yeah, sure is.
They just don't know about long's the only problem. You have no info there.
G2 look to pivot towards A, and Zeldris is Marshall. First shot lands. And, well, I think G2 will realize that we're going to have to force something.
30 seconds left.
Physic, Dapper. Okay, timing once again. This time goes the way of Physic. Zeldris will watch Sewer. He'll have support from Jonah on the other side. Here comes the hit. Shot's not perfect, but it still works out for a double for Jonah. Zeldris, yep, he will lock it in, no worries. Shot lands. And 2 for Zeldris, get OR Esports up to 8.
Yeah, really nicely handled around there from OR Esports. Very efficient, only lost 1 player, so didn't fall prey to some type of, you know, huge economic impact from a low bot G2. Big bonus, though, here. They have 4 SMGs coming into this round. Zeldris has the operator, though, so that gives them a big punch here. But full rifles for G2. You give them the slight nod when it comes to equipment value.
Line out, OR Esports, not affected this time around. Ooh, Paranoia actually gets called in early. That's enough for G2 to say, all right, you want to throw that that way? We'll just head over towards C real quick.
Yeah, Zeldris here with the operator at platform, but he's got a lot to worry about from 2 different directions.
He's stuck. Oh, see ya. What, dude? He's one taps him.
See you later, dude. Holy cow, that was a brilliant one tap. A clean one, too. Just tap once.
Oxy now in the corner. No, Nilly will respond. Paranoia out and the fault line. Goodness, the utility from G2 is just not missing.
1 enemy remaining.
Oh boy, Whippy.
And the shot dart.
Yep. Unbelievable.
Everything.
Unbelievable.
The kitchen sink got thrown at that corner, bro.
I'll say.
And it hurt. It hurt real good.
Stealing sight.
That's so good.
1 enemy remaining.
Almost. 1 clip 3K, that would have been sick.
Mm-hmm.
Turret out.
Here we go. Equal footing for both sides here, except for Zeldris.
For knives?
He needs them.
Gonna have him, don't worry. Uses the cloud burst to earn it. Pancakes is gonna, whoa, goodness, Pancakes was watching that recon bolt float in. Nearly got his head taken off because of it. Oxy on the dash. Oh, but Nilly in the corner. Oh, Nilly! How about it? A 1-clip ace from Nilly. Oh, and OR Esports keep their 2-round advantage. Mercy.
The stone left unturned makes G2 pay. They had everything covered except the double stack, and Nilly, perfect. Huge round to get them back on top and put G2 into dire straits economically. Coming in with some Sheros and 2 Vandals. This is OR Esports' chance right here.
Yeah, I'll say. How about this? Fault lines cross, overthrow A. Zeldris forward. Jonah with the orb collected, now 1 away from Rolling Thunder. G2 still looking to push in. Aldron's not going to see much here. Zeldris will have 1 chance to get out of here. See, first contact, no. He will get the first blood, and that could be a rifle collected now all of a sudden.
Yep, now all of a sudden it gets more dangerous with G2 having an additional rifle in their hands. Oxy wasting no time dashing into the site. He is going to find some space, but he gets double face and he can't pick his target.
Nido does trade. Jonah trying to keep himself alive for as long as possible. Uses his whole kit and caboodle. And G2 will actually back off a sec. So lockdown going to be spent. OR still have 2 members forward, and oh, they may try to pressure this. Pancakes is playing really aggressive here. Looking just for a 1-and-doner. Yeah, he's gonna get the kill. He's gonna get stuck, and Jonah drops. Oh, this should be no problem. Pancakes should drop here. They can find him. Okay, there he is. Nilly now up top. 1v3. Spike being planted. Nilly may go quick. Feeling it. Shot's decent for the first, but can't quite collect the kill. Shazam will find the elimination, and G2 again with a low buy. Find a way to steal away around.
Yeah, it's just Oxy again with the split 1 and mid-season face-off combined. He has been top 3 for first kills per round, and boy, did he have a huge opening blow to get them into sight in the first place. Good follow-up from Penny for the trade. Allows him to get the lockdown in place from Sewers and secure sight. And now all of a sudden, the shoe's on the other foot. Now it's OR Esports struggling economically. They do have alts available, but that's about it.
this is where G2 really starts to shine. OR looking to get aggressive though here through mid off the rip. Gonna actually use Pancakes to teleport in with this frenzy, so he'll at worst be kind of a listening post here for OR to figure out where exactly this G2 offense is headed.
Dapper seems to have a good read on the situation, though. I mean, he knows the threat's there. That's why he's backed all the way up in the spawn. And I mean, they're converging on A, and this is dangerous. This is where OR Esports are at. They have a lockdown and Rolling Thunder available. All 5 are here. This could be an absolute bloodbath for G2. Worst case scenario right now for them.
But they walk in without really any utility covering. Looking to plant over on the right side of corner. It's a dangerous plant to be sure, but it avoids the fault line. Shot darts come through. Zeldris able to help out. Penny will drop. Oh, but the reveal so heavy. Rolling Thunder gets called in late. It's actually from on top of the site, up close and personal, I'll say. OR Esports will get the site in their control, but the post plant still is significant until Zeldris and Jonah get 2 big picks. Dapper, Shazam, last one's left. May need this Hunter's Fury in a multifaceted way because it's a lockdown and a defense of the spike that has to come through. Dapper has to check. Gets 2. Unreal. Hunter's Fury, though, needs to be called to try to put this one out of reach. Shazam's not going to use it.
Why?
I have no idea.
Why?
I mean,
what? Dapper got the 2 kills. You're in a 1v1 and you're so far away. You know he has to go for the defuse. Just pull it. I don't understand why you wouldn't. Especially considering how much clock was burned.
Yes.
Unless he was scared he was going to get rushed. But if he did, still enough clock had been burned. Dapper set you up. Oh, man.
Wow.
That's your only win condition. You're too far away to run back and swing.
I am at a loss. First major mistake we've seen from G2, and it comes at the worst possible time because now OR Esports reestablished their economy. They're up to 10. Oof. I think we're both at a loss.
I'm just trying, like, you know, as a color commentator, you wonder, like, maybe I missed something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something I'm not understanding, but I'm still at a loss on that one, even after thinking about it more.
Well, Penny gonna go for an early plant. Shock darts in. OR Esports heavy on this fight. I mean, everybody and their mom is here. Shazam's
My mom's not there.
All of it. I don't know, that she might be.
Could be in spirit.
Boy. Now Dapper's got himself alerted, but Pancakes good first. Jonah trying to watch with the operator, but it just comes too late. So Jonah Physic, well, this didn't work out, unfortunately. Physic was just waiting for the troops to arrive and now just has to back out.
Yeah. Great response from G2 after a tough previous round to fight right back to 9, keep it close. Still have those ults available as well for the future. A couple of guns are going to get saved here by OR Esports. Can't buy too much around them, though, if I'm honest. Like, the money's pretty low. Well, I guess they have just enough, but it puts them kind of up against the ropes. If they lose this round, it could be, you know, smooth sailing for G2 to take the lead.
Yeah.
This is a big round for OR Esports. They need this.
Okay. Wow. It's just, you know, again, putting this into a more broader frame, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far from OR. Because they've made a couple mistakes, sure, but they've also punished G2 in a couple of their own mishaps.
Indeed.
So, and I mean, again, the stats across the board, not just on maps, but also like in their eco stats, just, you know, it's split 1. They're as low as it gets, essentially. But highlighted, or low-lighted, I should say, was their inability to win in full versus full buys. 39% win rate. It was significantly the worst, right alongside Disguised at the time, throughout split 1, including the face-off for Disguised reasons. But already better, I would say, just generally speaking.
Sure. Definitely from the eye test, they do look, you know, pretty solid right now at this lineup. No doubt about it. Nilly continues to play well. Same with Zeldris. So kind of the guys that were playing well last split for this team continue to do so. Physics had a pretty solid game here. But yeah, this is a big round.
No shortage of creativity, though. This time, Zeldris with the op gets into sewer. Teleporting away is Whippy, just making sure he's not scouted on the cross. And that leaves the G2 have the opportunity to flood towards C, where defensively, Pancakes is playing close with just one Nanoswarm to help him. And rotating quickly is Jonah, but he may not get here in time for his utility to be part of the play. Their cover comes out, Nanoswarm is there. Oxy takes a lot of chip damage, and Pancakes has stayed safe so far. I mean, this has been miraculous. Now Jonah's here. Hunter's Fury's out, but Pancakes says this is a no-fly zone. And the Hunter's Furies, as they start to duel, come out in favor of OR's defense. Whippy tallies up only a single kill, and it's going to be a 4v3.
Yeah, this was just a little bit too telegraphed from G2. They're going to ult the spike, though, over to A, and it will get to plants. Pancakes, though, gets inside, spawn the cut off the reinforcements. Oh, that's a play. And Zeldris has never been found either in sewers. He gets his man, and this should be it.
Wow, great reads from OR Esports. Dapper.
Got one.
Okay. Gonna get one for free, but nothing else. At least not as of yet. Maybe a chance for late contact, but no, OR Esports not interested. They get to 11. Now G2, you start to kind of feel a little bit of panic here, only winning 3 of the last, what, like 10 rounds?
Yeah, it's been a situation where I feel like there's been times where they've really tried to force themselves through counter utility when they haven't really needed to. They could wait it out, and they're just not really catching the right timings. A lot of times Oxy's on an island because the supporting cast can't get there because he's basically plowing through nanos and smokes, and I don't know, it just seems like there's been a couple of disjointed attacks here from G2.
Yeah. Knives out for Oxy. Shorty is his secondary at the moment. Misses for Zeldris. He just gets out of there. Knives also popped as a response, as OR Esports are again going to try this heavy-handed flank. There is a sentry turret that will be deleted, so G2 will scramble to get back to make sure they can hold C long.
You should run.
Offensive lockdown will stall OR a little bit further. Not much seen off of the Owl drone. With the timing. He's got Nilly around the corner. This contact could be a lot of. Oh boy, Zeldris just floats in. Takes care of Oxy, no worries. Nilly follows up. That's Whippy off that long flank. Zeldris continuing to get to work here, but now it's just down to can you take care of G2 at long, and sure, why not? OR Esports only drop 1 on the retake. Unbelievable stuff, and OR Esports will be on map 1 point against the second place finishers of the mid-season face-off.
We did discuss this could be the map it would happen on, right? It's been a weaker map for G2. It's a map that OR Esports maybe had plenty of time to prep, as they were not a part of the mid-season face-off, so they had a little more time to kind of work on the roster, work on practicing and preparing for the second split. So it seemed like this might have been maybe like a potential pocket pick where OR are just really prepped, prepared, and they certainly look it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the eye test tells you that they definitely have this map, you know, pretty well thought out.
Zeldris held off from watching this sewer angle early. Drone deleted, but Zeldris once more goes back in towards site. Jonah's going to take his place. Little passing of the baton here.
G2 seem weary of it, though.
Yeah.
Like, they seem to have an idea that this is possible. Dapper's actually looking out for it. Still will come down to timing in the end. Doesn't waste a nano to clear it.
What the?
I don't think that's what he was trying to do. That's just a guess. I can't know for sure, but I have a feeling that was in the plan.
Cue up like the Sonic jump pad noise. Boing. We've seen some weird interactions with utility on this map, you and I.
Yeah. A slower round from G2.
30 seconds left.
Kind of just trying to play the default, pressuring Garage, now falling back into an A hit, but the op is trained here by Zeldris on this angle. Smoke the block, and they're going to try to dash in.
Nick still trying to hold. Paranoia, Aftershock, a little confusion on where he could put himself to get out of dodge, and Won't quite fully work out. The jump in position here. Sewer's working out
10
beautifully.
seconds
Penny
left.
has to hold for the plant.
Spike planted.
Flash out. Oxy does take care of it with a shorty. Zeltus has retreated up high, and that seems to work out nicely for him. Shot lands, 3v2. Lily Pancakes now here. Penny in the site with a stinger. Whippy teleporting back over towards the sewer side. And our Esports will wait for the final utility to get into place before they make their move. Paranoia comes through the back
Last
site.
player standing.
Penny. Oh, not going to be able to hold as a shorty just plugs him. And OR Esports take map number 1 over G2 Esports. Hold your horses. We may
Defenders
have a full
win.
series on our hands here, friends.
Man, what a defense from OR Esports. Again,
Yeah.
that was a side of the map they struggled on in their previous match on this map. And they really turned it around there. I mean, they were very proactive. They were very good at reading G2 and repositioning and retaking when required. I mean, they just look so well coordinated on this map. I mean, the first half, obviously super close. 6-6 was the final score. It could have gone either way from that point. But when we flip sides and OR takes on the defense, they just really were so good at either shutting G2 down when G2 was trying to brute force, or, you know, they had the retake ready to go.
Absolutely. And the funny thing about the offensive first half for OR Esports is, again, like if they don't get hit by a ton of rolling thunders or fault lines or whatever kind of utility comes out of Penny's pocket, they probably come away with 8 rounds on that offense. I mean,
Yeah, probably.
It's the collat that comes out with the aftershock. It's that fault line Hunter's Fury combo that we saw in the early replay. So, I mean, honestly speaking, I'm walking away eyes wide open, impressed here, because this is an OR Esports team that only won 3 maps in Split 1, and now they come out and take map number 1 versus our runners-up from the face-off. That's unbelievable stuff, and obviously screams high prospects for what this roster may be able to do in terms of an instant improvement for the OR Esports brand. We have to send things to a break, though, before we continue to talk with Bach about the action, and of course, consider map number 2. This is where things get interesting. It's G2's bread and butter split coming up next. Don't go far.
With a judge? My guess is Trick.
Scuba, I think. What is it? Trick, Pony, Scuba, or Seal? Pony, maybe?
Bro, Pony. It has to be Pony, bro. He pulled a fast one on us on split. That's all I'm gonna say.
20th. I'd say Harbor. Damn.
How many agents are there? There are 22. Gecko just came out, so the one that came out before him was Harbor. I'm gonna go with Harbor. I'm gonna lock it in. Wait, oh my, 20th. Okay, yeah, man.
For a second, let me think. Fade came after Chamber. Wait, so it has to be Fade because Fade was the 20th, right? Awesome.
I'm gonna go with Harbor. Don't think it's right, but I'm gonna go with Harbor. Same thing.
Like officially came out. Officially. July 2020th. I remember I started playing back in April 2020. It was just getting close beta, so I thought, like, you know, like give it a 3-month period.
I'll go with... I don't remember, to be honest, but I'll go with May 2020.
June 2nd, 2020.
Officially release? I'm gonna go June 2nd. I saw there was like you guys did a trivia one time and like only one of the years was 2020 and the person got it wrong and I was like, how? I remember watching this vividly. Is it GMD? No.
Oh my god, I know this one. Ain't no way. Thief. I would go with Thief. Moist Thief. If no?
It's either... So, since it's OR... Wait, and this is from last split, right? So it had to be the teams in our group. It's not DSG, because... Who's their smokes player? That's definitely not Steel, bro. Let me see. M80, Xander doesn't use that crosshair. TSM, GMD doesn't use that crosshair, so it's not them. Who am I forgetting? Oh, it's Madline, so this is Ainge for sure.
It's Ainge.
No, I saw this one too. This is Proto for sure.
Oh, this is a Proto.
This is a Proto for sure.
It's a Proto.
I want to say, yay. Hey, leave on the duelist, man. It's haven't seen that in a minute.
Oh yeah. This is C9 Leaf. I just remember this. I've seen that a bunch of times.
It's Leaf. I don't even need to see the instantly. I know it's Leaf.
This is this Ian? Is this Tex? Wait, no, sorry. This is Leaf. This is Leaf for sure. This is 100. Yeah, 100%. This is Leaf. Yeah, this is. Okay, yeah, this is Leaf for sure. I remember this clip.